Samantha Colosimo-Testa, quickly. Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning.
I know you've been waiting, and you do you want to comment on the previous guest?
I just wish you guys didn't go off the air that quick so that I could listen to him what he was whispering to you guys on the microphone.
The whispering. The whispering.
That's about all I'm commenting on about that.
Rick says his last statement shows was a display of how shallow the quality pool is for candidates for some offices in Utica. Who wants to get into that fray? And let's just kind of pass that by onto the issue of term limits and the extension of term limits. You voted against it, and yesterday the last couple of days, we've certainly had some information that leads us to believe maybe some deals might have been cut. Do you believe any of this?
I mean, I think it was admitted by a council person on the air that the fact that the mayor did lobby them. I mean, the fact that he even talked to him about it, leads me to believe that, something was said. Obviously I wasn't there. I didn't witness anything. So anything that I have heard is hearsay.
Yeah.
So, I'll leave it at that. I know I wasn't asked to support the term limits. So, I couldn't tell you. No deal was cut on my behalf.
On your end. So how do you, obviously you voted against this. What do you do now? Is it over and this is just it? Or do you feel there's something that can be done down the road?
Well, I mean, obviously anything that the council does, if they were ever to take legal action, there would have to be 5 members. So anybody that voted in favor of it would actually be, really suing themselves. But a couple of things that I found interesting throughout the process was the simple fact that you guys have heard the story from day one about how the petition process was started and it was a grassroots initiative. What I find quite interesting is the petition specifically said that people signed that it was supposed to go to the electors of the people of the city of Utica. Well, the legislation that we received specifically said that it was supposed to go to the electors of the people of the city of Utica. And it was supposed to be held on an election held on November 7th. Obviously, it was left blank in the legislation. Well, that was the intent, and that was what was passed by the council. And then I received the legislation that the mayor signed on Friday, and the part of the an election in the public hearing, the election held on a certain date was actually taken out of the legislation.
Oh, okay. So it just makes this...
and I guess it just goes through the whole convoluted process of it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and it really, majority of the people that I talk to, and I work in the restaurant business on the weekends, and I can't begin to explain how many people have said, it was really terrible what they did, and we obviously it's obvious to everybody that it wasn't just done, because everybody loves. The mayor. It was done because the mayor wanted to extend his own term limits. It's no reading through the lines. I mean, that's actually what happened.
Do you buy into, because some people say the petition process, they thought that when they were signing the petition, they thought they were signing to have this put up for a vote as a referendum.
Oh my God, that's exactly what they signed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you read the petition specifically said that it was going to the electors of the people of the city of Utica pursuant to Section Home Rule 30, 36, or 37, and then when you read the home rule law, it specifically states that the electors are the people of the city of Utica that have voted in an election.
I had one former mayor tell me, I don't know how they did this. I don't know how this is legal.
I got to be honest with you, I have no idea either. And I would have never voted to extend my own term limits, and I told you guys that before. And
Sam,
I didn't think that it was appropriate. However, I think it's even more appropriate that people have signed a petition that specifically said that it was going to go to ballot, and then they were.
Yeah.
Sam, don't you have counsel?
What I find quite interesting is that they used the Bloomberg case, as a reference to why they were able to extend their own term limits. Well, with the Bloomberg case, it was an actual legislator that actually, submitted the legislation. This is extremely different for the fact that this was brought to us by a petition, a referendum. And when you don't change the intent of the legislation, and then you take the piece out. It says it was supposed to go to referendum, and then admit that it wasn't necessary to be in there. Well, then why'd you take it out? What's the difference?
Sam, don't you have legal counsel on the council? Have you asked this question, and what was the explanation you were given?
We do. And actually, Michael Emy had actually sent an email to Corporation Counsel, and Corporation Counsel is obviously the one that would have to defend this for the simple fact that, the mayor signed it, he didn't veto it, and his excuse was that it was past the deadline on October 1st because it needed
to get on the ballot
36 days before the election. Well, they knew that. They had sent us, a timeline. So why hold a public hearing on October 6th if that was your original intention to put it to the ballot? They said, well, because it was too late. So that's why we took it out. I mean, it literally makes you scratch your head. And that's why people don't run for office, to be quite honest with you. And that's why people don't want to get involved for the simple fact that, now you have, whether it's legal or not legal, I mean, it literally leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth for the simple fact of how this whole entire process went forward.
I think people don't run for office because of the previous 30 minutes on the radio. That's why they don't run for office.
That could be as well.
That might play a role in it a little bit.
All right. As well.
All right, Samantha, we appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time this morning.
Thanks, guys.
Samantha Colosimo-Testa.